we want a model, like we're calling it hill takers. Like we want to be the number one brand in the galaxy, which means you got to be number one in your market. And we got to take the hill, which is both consumer marketing and B2B. So like in tandem, you're building your commercial sales team. If it's not you, you need to hire someone to do it. And like all the time you're investing in consumer awareness and marketing to build like brand valence and tell the good word. And so we really want people to do both.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Franchise. As always, I'm your host, Paul Ehlinger. Super excited. Today, we've got Daniel McCarty from JunkStart with us down in San Antonio. Daniel, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Paul. Excited.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And for those who may or may not know you, who the heck are you, and how'd you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I'm Daniel McCarty. I'm the founder and CEO of JunkStart Junk Removal. We're an emerging brand. Created a new category class called pay by weight junk removal. We are the first and only company in our space to charge by weight instead of volume, and excited to talk through a little bit of why that's interesting and why maybe you should care if you're listening.
Yeah, no, I love that. And let's just start with it. Like who or what causes you to start a junk removal brand? What was the turning point in your life that said this needs to be done and I'm going to dedicate all my waking time to it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I grew up in like an entrepreneurial family. So my dad was quite the entrepreneur. And so we had a bunch of different like business lines. We were in like the mining business and concrete and the waste industry. And so after college, I played football at SMU and came home and we worked for several years, ended up selling a couple of businesses in like 2020 and was looking around. I was like, hey, I'd love to, I've got this thing in my heart. I need to like go build something. And it's like, cool, let's do I've always loved I looked around actually to try and buy a business, like a lot of people probably watching.
Like entrepreneurship through acquisition.
Yeah. And in 2021 and 22, it was like JPEGs were going for $1 million. And it was like, there was just way more.
The world was a different place. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. I just like, the run-of-the-mill plumbing company is going for 15 times EBITDA, and you're like, all right, I think it's time to build, not buy. And so like, what do I want to spend the next decade kind of building? And the franchisor business model always has like fascinated me when done well, like that win-win. It's an asset-light model, and I loved it. So I was like, oh, let's do that. What do I know? It's like I know the waste industry. I hate the dumpster business, but like I think junk removal's been done a bunch of times. Like, let's just do that. And the whole strategy was, I'll be just like everyone else, but a little nicer branding, a little, and it'll be fine. There's so much room to go around in the marketplace. So we launched straight into the teeth of everyone else being just like, the Me Too competitor number 815. And
eyes wide, right? Eyes wide, just running right.
That was the strategy. And so from there, we launched in 2022, and which we'll talk about. But in the service industry, like when you're really launching into a commodity market, saturated mostly, in your whole value prop is like, we all have the exact same website, we all have the exact same pictures and the exact same messaging and the exact same value prop, and it's just a horrible place to be, and we spent years sort of in that trap, so we kind of figured our way out.
And I think diving into that, right, like what were the early indications for you? Like what were the leading indicators that like, crap, maybe we need to pivot a little bit and kind of change something else. So before we get into the pivot, what maybe led to it?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it was so like customers would call in and they'd be like, oh, I'm just price shopping. And they'd be like, oh, we would get to a job and they'd have two other companies already standing there. And it was like, all right, who wants to do it the worst? And I'm like, I respect that. But also like as a business owner, I'm like, that's not exactly the market position we want to be in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just true commodity. I really found like there's some inherent flaws in the business model that I hated. But one of the things, I remember we had a speaker, I'm in Vistage, it's like a CEO peer group. And they were like, look at your top 5 competitors and like, analyze all your websites and your messaging. And I kid you not, like my heart dropped. We all, like I just said, we had the exact same pictures and the freaking same words and the exact same value prop. And we're all philandering. We're like, we also like to recycle. And oh my God, we're such good corporate citizens. And we
just like pandering to things people don't actually care about. Yeah.
And I was like, no one, it was just like, I hated it. I was like, this is all such BS. Like, this is terrible. So I've got to get out of this like messy middle. So those are some of if you look around at all your competitors have the exact same website, pictures, messaging, value prop, like you probably are in a a pretty tight.
Yeah, you're just in a race to the bottom on pricing at that point. Yeah. And so we've identified this. I'm sure we had a gut sync moment there of just shit. This sucks. How did we come up with the buy weight model? Walk us through early stages of that.
So it was a combination of like, I knew we needed differentiation, and then there was real flaws in the volume-based model. So basically it's like you call in, how much is a couch or like half my garage? And you go, oh, let's just swing by for a free on-site estimate, which like you don't do any pricing over the phone.
Yeah.
You get a 20-year-old to your driveway. He's like complimenting your yard. He's like, oh yeah, he's building rapport. You got to teach on-site sales to all these guys. And then he looks around and goes, yeah, it's like probably half a truck. It's like $500. And like the inside baseball is there's really no rhyme or reason. It's like loosely based off volume, but it's really how much can you get the person?
What can you sell at the time? Yeah.
And then it's haggling. They'll be like, nah, I'm only gonna do it for like $100. And you're like, oh, and you only get so many cancellations before your manager gets mad. That was sort of, as I was hiring some people that used to work at other companies, they'd be like, oh yeah, well, what came to be known as the grandma tax is when I knew I wanted to blow up the model. So like they would say 500, someone would say, no, I'll do it for 100. And if they're at the end of the week and they don't have any cancellations left in their bag, like, all right, fine, we'll do it for $100. Because knowing that on the next job, it was usually a sweet little grandma, and instead of charging her $100 for her little couch, they'd try and charge her $500 to make back the missed margin. And that was called the grandma tax, was sort of the inside baseball. And I was like, this is.
Yeah, I don't want to run this business that's taxed.
No, it's like I'd rather not do anything. I don't need to do this business. And the insight came is we own a landfill. So I've been in the waste industry my whole life. And when you go to a landfill, you run over scales, you're charged by the pound. Same with dumpsters. I've always been like, why are we doing this convoluted volume pricing when you're charged by weight at the landfill? Like it's sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Like if you get a really light load, like, oh, you make a little money. If you get a really heavy load, you're screwed. All your margin's gone. And I was like, I feel like there's something here. And so
our values are misaligned here across the chain.
It's a win-lose. And so like we figured out, all right. And we just went, whole ham into, tested it, the thesis on where to find product market fit, found out like, hey, what would you think about this? And charging by weight. And that's how we're charged at the landfill. And the constant feedback I got from, which is grassroots, a bunch of people are like, oh, I can't believe that's not how it's always been done. And I got that about the 15th time.
You're like, okay,
like, oh, that's so smart. But like, that's really simple. Like, are you sure no one else does it? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And so that was sort of that like simple, yet like somewhat profound. It's not profound, but it's most big ideas are simple.
For sure, right? I think
I kept getting the feedback. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to hear, hard to implement, right? Like at the end of the day, like changing your business is hard to do. It just is. And I'm curious then, like what's the process? Do you weigh on site? Like do people see the weighing happen, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we figured out a way. It's hard. So once I decided pay by weight, I was like, oh, cool. I was like, all right, we're doing this. And I started ordering. I tried to figure out how to put scales on our trucks.
That's what I was thinking.
I wanted to do on-site weighing. So I didn't want to like have to go drive somewhere. I've heard this done before in dumpsters. Like you'd pick up the load, you have to go all the way to a scale or a landfill, weigh it. Your customer's like, that's not mine. How do I know that's my weight? So we had to figure something out to where we figured out how to put scales on our trucks to where you just zero it out right there on site. You can, jump on the bed. You can see it go up 100 pounds and down, and you're right there on site. But what happened when I decided that is like, my whole business model is based off volume based, which is like smaller trucks. It's kind of like shrinkflation. Like they're all trying to get smaller and smaller, but charge you more and more for like the same space. And I figured out, oh my God, none of these trucks are going to work. So I was about 2 years in on the depreciation curve of like 5 new trucks. I was like, all right, I guess I had to get rid of all of them. Sold them all for a huge loss. Bought all these. I had to buy, all new trucks. Had to figure out how to implement. Luckily, I had this crazy welding help that from our mining days. We had really great kind of like, I call it redneck engineers. So I was like, Cup, I need your help. And we just sat around for weeks trying to figure out how to do R&D and figure out how to do this. And we ultimately did. And it's now our patent pending system. But again, it took like hundreds of thousands of dollars of like, oops. And like once I decided to do it, it was like, oh, also I got to take a bath on all my trucks, buy all new trucks, figure it out. And those are all the things that in hindsight, it's a moat, right? It's great. It is incredibly hard to try and figure it out and expensive. But that was sort of the process of you can have the idea, which is great. And then it's like, all right, full steam ahead. And then, you can't look back in the middle when you're standing.
You kind of got to commit to a pivot, it's an elbow for a reason. You got to keep rolling. I'm curious then, how does the estimating work, right? Like I would think like at least it's more directionally easy. Like I can be like, this is a really freaking heavy couch, or this is a light
Yeah.
chair, but what does that look like before you do get on site with this, tricked out truck now?
Yeah, what I love is like they're actually like it's pretty simple. It sounds hard, like I don't know how much the couch weighs. We're like, well, is it a 3-seater? Cool. Like it's around 150 pounds.
Yeah.
Like we have this whole table built out. Like think about it. Like every manufacturer has the weight on like the e-com site. So like we aggregated it all, and it's like, hey, like I've got a couch and this, and it's like we can easily be like, all right, that sounds like it's between 300 and 400 pounds. So you're looking probably somewhere around $300, like, but it'll be ultimately up to the weight. And that way you're giving them a really clear estimate.
You're setting an expectation.
Yeah. And then that way, we're booking and it's not a free on-site estimate. And so our on-site conversion and volume base, it used to be like, you try and convert like 80 or 85% of your on-site estimates. Yeah. Like we just stopped tracking that at JunkStart because we basically, like if we get there, like we're just doing it. And if you want to pay less, like we'll just load less of your items. You want to pay more, like we'll just. So it's like you're standing there with your customer. It's not adversarial. The way I like to think it's like at Froyo, like I went with my wife the other day and they charge by weight.
It is Froyo.
Yeah, and like we get to the end and it's $20 for 2 things, and I'm not mad at Froyo. I'm looking at my wife like,
why did you put gummy worms and Oreos? And what are you doing?
You got too heavy of stuff. Oh my gosh! And that's the same with a lot of our customers because again, it's not adversarial. It's like, hey, if it weighs more, we have to pay more. So it's like we're sitting over here and it's like, do you want to add more stuff or do you want to add less stuff? And so that was sort of that's how it works. Is we have scales on the trucks. We give them an estimate over the phone. They're generally committed. The guys are over there to look and make sure that they give it a once over before we start loading, and that's how that works.
So I can't help but think, like, how far away are we from object recognition on a mobile app where people just take the picture and we estimate the weight based on materials?
With volume based, like everyone's like trying to do that, and they're like, but you never know. It's like a pile of stuff, and then like behind the couch is like an anvil, and like if you quote that, it's like you're gonna get screwed. For us, like we're already looking into and built like internally, but like weight estimator, like it's really easy for LLMs, I think, to like digest. Like here's all the different weights. Like even if it's half a garage, you're probably in like the 600 to 1,000 pound range. You just give a little wider range and. Ultimately, it's a lot easier for us to estimate weight versus like volume. Every time I got a couch, it's pretty small, and you show up, it's like an 8-piece sectional that is like, this enormous thing, and there's a reason why
it's the largest couch I've ever seen.
Yes, and that's always what happens, and it's covered in like cat hair, and you're like, okay, this is. I know when I told you $100 on the phone, I thought it was this little bitty thing, and now it's this huge, enormous thing, and so that it just aligns incentives, I think, to where we're basically trying to remove the risk of you getting screwed. With volume, there's always a chance, like you could get enough people. If you want the lowest price possible, like get 15 people out there, make them bid over it, like get all these estimates, just drive the price as low as humanly possible. And like you'll win, they'll lose, but you'll win. And it's like, who has time for that? Like, or if you want to just remove the risk of you getting screwed, we're not going to charge you too much. We're not going to charge you too little. Like this is what it costs for us to do business. We'll show up, load it, like weigh it, pay it, done. And you're off to like doing the next thing. And that's really resonated with our customers. Like that.
Yeah. I'm curious, how long has it been since we've operationally been in place with the new model?
Yeah, so we pivoted like late fall last year, so about a full year. And like our item 19 and our FDD discloses like, hey, here's where we were at volume based, and here's period over period, month over month with pay by weight, and you could just see like our revenue's up, like 100%. We went from almost no B2B revenue to like now it's over half our revenue. We found this huge blue ocean, and that's because like. If you're a property manager and like Joe swings by and takes a couch and it's $500 and your boss is like, why was that $500? You're like, I don't know. Joe told me it. But now it's like, here's the pricing sheet.
Because it weighed 120 pounds.
It was this many pounds. And it's just like, I don't know why that subtle shift of like, you took the property manager out of like, they're not getting yelled at. It's more like, well, why are the residents throwing this much stuff away? Again, it's that little shift. I wouldn't have thought it, but like we went from like, we couldn't get it. Commercial work really so like now it's just blue ocean and found this enormous product market fit there, and that's changed it all.
I think the pricing and packaging it's really hard. Like hearing your story resonates with me. Like for us, one of the things we did early on was we charged by location or by unit as opposed to by user, because franchisees end up having random people helping their business, right? It'll be like their niece, their nephew, their neighbor, their uncle, like whomever it is. And so people felt like they were getting ripped off if you're charging for every random user that's on there, And then the second you're like, yeah, if you add a unit, we add a unit, and it's just like we're perfectly aligned on cost versus pay. Like it's really effective to just do that. For you guys, I think it is the Froyo model. Like it's like innately understood that if I take more, if there is more, I will pay more. It just makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's so interesting. I think a lot of like on the software subscription side, like it is interesting. Like, is it by user? I don't like the per user model. I can understand if it is, but if it's more of a consumable cost on you guys, like if it's AI, right, and you have to
So
compute
no. Let me tell you, the software costs of an additional user on a software platform are so negligible. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
that's why it's a great model. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For you, like, are you confident in the pivot? Like, do you feel like, yep, we figured it out now. We're kind of through this pivot, and now it's onto growth. And what were maybe the leading indicators for you there that like,
Yeah,
hey, this is
yeah, for
working? Because
sure. So,
revenue's at the end, right? Like
oh
it's
yeah,
like okay, it's there now.
for me, it was like, okay, I had a couple of key things. It was like when I first did it, I was like, I want to demonstrate that like we have this massive B2B market that I thought we
Mm-hmm.
did.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to prove that it was a better consumer experience. So I wanted to be able to charge more and have a higher conversion rate, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that never happens, right? But I wanted to tangentially like understand that makes me think that there's pricing power here and it's
Yeah.
appreciated by the customer. And then I want to see what it could do with margins. And so like we went from now understanding like building out a commercial sales system, like we went from almost 3% of revenue B2B to over half of our revenue now is B2B, and it's just
Oh
up
yeah.
and to the right on our item 19. It's like, all right, check. Like we have true product market fit there. On the pricing, like our average pricing, again, you can see like month over month, quarter over quarter, like we're able to charge 40 to 50% more. Like our average ticket has gone up that much, and our conversion rate actually went from in the 80s to 90%. So like we
Yeah,
went
that's awesome.
from to charge more and to convert higher. And it's not necessarily like I'm charging more than I was. Like it could be like they're just loading more items, but
Yeah, you just got
it
more
really,
accurate, so there's less
you're
variance
right.
in how you're
It's
charging,
more
right?
accurate,
Yeah.
and so that was a huge thing to me. Is like, wait, the customers seem happier. We've got 785-star reviews with a 5.0 like rating. Like we're able to charge more. The difference between $400 and $550 on your average shop size is
Yeah.
enormous. Like when you're a service business, because it costs whatever $100 to acquire a customer, and
Mm-hmm.
and you're it's just really big deal. And then the margins, we went from about a low 40% gross margin
Yeah.
to nearly 70%. And you're like, how
Can't
is
go wrong
that
with that.
possible?
Can't go wrong
But
with that.
we're not screwing and we're not getting screwed. It's just totally rational. And pricing is the biggest determinant of gross margin, as you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I had a 20-year-old sitting there being like, I don't know, $300 or like $200. It was like basically excessive
Hey,
discounting and
we trust
screwing.
the 20-year-old for some things, maybe
No,
not
no.
full top line
And
control of the gross margins of the business.
I know, but that was the main thing with the gross margin. And now it's like, no, it's based off our COGS. Here's the X cents per pound.
Yeah.
And it just totally like, again, we transformed our business. Try running a 45% gross margin business and a 70% gross margin business and tell me.
They're a little
Like,
different.
yeah, they're a little different.
I've
So
always been in software, so my life is very different.
yeah, well, I've been in ready mix and some other businesses where your gross margin, is closer to 20 than it is 50, and it's hard.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think something I'm interested by as well is this B2B budget line growing, like revenue line growing, is obviously awesome. We love it. It's got to be more repeatable. As you scale the franchise system, how do you think about that? Because I do think direct to consumer is very different than a B2B sale. Like for your franchisees, how are you kind of scaling both sides of that sales mechanism?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we built out this great sales system, and when we're really focused on, it's got to be both. You want B2C consumer to drive market awareness dominance. You're getting cash today, right? It's cash on delivery. The B2B, it's just a long reoccurring network effect business that is about twice the average ticket. And they go together because you build route density. So like the more, if I'm already on the east side doing an apartment job and then somebody calls in for a couch right next door, like the marginal cost for me to swing by and get that incremental $100 is like
basically free.
Yeah, it's basically free. If I have to drive 30 minutes,
you've already driven.
You don't make any money. And so like it's this beautiful blend of like you keep adding reoccurring work, which is like building route density. Your trucks are busier and you're just be able to squeeze on. You're already in that part of town, so your response times for consumer leads are shorter, and it's this perfect blend. So we view it as like we want a model, like we're calling it hill takers. Like we want to be the number one brand in the galaxy, which means you got to be number one in your market.
Yep.
And we got to take the hill, which is both consumer marketing and B2B. So like in tandem, you're building your commercial sales team. If it's not you, you need to hire someone to do it. And like all the time you're investing in consumer awareness and marketing to build like brand valence. And tell the good word.
It's revenue stability, right? Like revenue stability has to be so much better. I'm curious, is there like the first thing that my mind goes to is almost like some level of real-time marketing of like, can you indicate like I'll be in your neighborhood, tell me what you want and I can come pick it up.
Well, that's because you're smart, Paul. That is like the holy grail. Like we're all, it's getting there. And like, if we can already be in your zip code and be like, I'm literally down the street. Like I can.
Because everybody's got the random hunk of thing. I've got 2 chairs in my basement right now. You know what I mean? Like everybody's got the random thing.
Yeah, I know that is totally where it's going, and like the marginal cost, like that would be in the best interest of the consumer, which is ultimately like, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Like that is what like we should be going after is like how do we provide as much value as possible to the customer? And like it costs, consume the least amount of resources in the process, and that's.
What performs the best for you on your consumer marketing? This is like maybe too detailed of a question, but it's a leading question to my next question.
There you go. We do it all, but pay per click, like depending on the market and like your competitive set, like it works for us. In markets, sometimes it can get bid up. It really gets bid up, I think, uneducated folks that are acquiring leads but pay per click works for us. Obviously, SEO, LSA works for us. We've had some good like brand awareness on Meta, Nextdoor. We're doing some different, direct mail initiatives, and we really have to do it all, which is great because we've got a story to tell, and it's not just like, we could tell a little bit about like how we're different, and just people hearing like, oh, that's different. Like at least they're much more engaged, like from even like the brand awareness stuff.
Yeah, have you experimented with those like week out campaigns? Like I'm imagining a B2B pickup is scheduled more further out than a consumer pickup is. And so like if it's a week out and I know the zip code I'm going to, have we ran a PPC Facebook ad saying I'll be here next week, like book here, and you have a custom landing page that says we're in this neighborhood at this time?
No, but I bet like thinking about obviously like the more you can automate and like I feel like that would work wonderfully. Yeah, you got some good ideas, Paul.
I love that. I was like, the first place my mind went to was like, how can I be the guy who shows up? And then obviously your trucks are wrapped, I'm presuming, and so like they're already seeing them in the neighborhoods that they're going to. B2B is repeatable, so presumably they're seeing them over time. So it's like you're building up neighborhood brand awareness, and if you can give them a point in time recognition of like that ad is going to deliver to 10,000 people because it's in a neighborhood, a single zip, you can probably get something there.
No, that's fantastic. I'm taking notes.
I love it. Maybe it's harebrained. Maybe it'll work. We don't know until we try. One of the things we talked about transitioning out of that when we had our introductory call was kind of the ideology behind home services platforms versus going vertical in a space. And I think you had maybe it's unpopular opinion at the point in time that we are at today with how much private equity is coming in, but you're like, I want to be great in a vertical. I don't necessarily want to go platform. Has that changed in the week since we've last talked / talk into it?
No. Yeah. So I actually, to be candid again, like when I first started it, I had the platform idea, or like I wasn't unique, but it was like, oh yeah, like franchising.
It's hard not to, right? Like you see it.
I'll just like sub in junk removal and then lawn care and plumbing and all this, and like I'm a genius. And of course, like you start studying it, and like it's been done at Dwyer and Neighborly and for the last 20 years, and private equity likes to do it. But like as a foundational idea, it's like I've got to, if you're consolidating, you've got to provide value to your customers. And like for us, it's who are our customers at the end of the day? It's our franchise partners and the end consumer. And like how are those two served by trying to do a platform of like Me Too shitty brands, excuse my language. But like I don't think they are.
I say shit on this podcast quite frequently.
Okay, I don't think they are. So like I'm not any better off. Like in the holy grail is like cross marketing, and like as you know, like everyone that's in the marketing world knows, like that is incredibly hard to do, and it has certainly not been proven out that you can effectively like take your lawn care customer and market a completely different brand like Neighborly's trying to do. It's just hard. And so like are the customers better off? I don't think so. Are your franchise partners better off? Like this bloated, like mediocre portfolio of brands? It's like I don't think so. Like, but if you're viewing it as a private equity company and your customer is really your LPs, or really like your GP ability to raise more, successive funds,
Yeah.
then it makes sense because like I get a lead, even if they don't close at JunkStart, I'll just throw them to like the lawn care brand.
Yeah, you're just reducing marginal like costs of
Yeah,
lead generation.
back office synergies. Like, okay, you can maybe squeeze out more money, but like, is that better for your franchise partners and your end consumers? And I would argue that it is at least murky. Like at best, perhaps, but at least it's murky. And like, if compare that to like a super strategic, focused brand like JunkStart. Like, I believe I can go way farther with just this differentiated brand. Like, and we've got the capital and skills, and we're building the leadership team, and like, we're going to just go deep on it. But like, it sounds a lot easier and better to me to stay super focused on this than trying to compile like 5 to 6 kind of mediocre brands.
Yeah, I'm curious. So yeah, totally agree with you. Like, I think it makes a ton of sense when you're at scale, because again, like the marginal, if you reduce lead generation cost by 4%, it's $35 million or something, right? So like, it makes more and more sense that at the scale. I'm curious for you, how far would you differentiate? Like, so your JunkStart right now, we're picking up junk. Would you pick up yard waste? Would you, you know what I mean? Like, would you do other forms of removal that differentiated? You'd market differently, but man, is it not the same freaking thing,
Yeah, for sure. I always view it as like, driving, like, I think we have so much revenue growth just in existing, verticals, or at least for JunkStart, like we don't need to do like the product expansion path yet. At some point of saturation, we will. But like, I just think about it, like, I don't think the world needs the 55th lawn care brand that's exactly the same. And I found that like to be like viscerally true with JunkStart.
I was going to say, you've gone through some trials and tribulations that are leading to this expertise. Yeah.
So I don't need, I just like, the market is not, you are not entitled to succeed as an entrepreneur. Obviously, you've got to provide value. And in any given market, like based off competitive dynamics and your skills and your networks, like you could grow a great lawn care business in your brand, but like, can you do that repeatedly across the country with different entrepreneurs in different markets? Like, I don't think that's a good bet. So like, I would rather spend all my time focused on like, what is a true, like truly valuable brand that like has differentiation or some sort of like, competitive moat, and focused on them, like JunkStart. And if I found a different brand and it was in the whatever, what is the like secondhand thrift stores, but it had like a true unique moat. Like, even though I would much rather do that and drive value that way than like just try and go to like whatever dumpster services or lawn care just because it happens to be in like the home service or property service bucket. So that's how I'm thinking through it.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And I realized I don't think I've ever asked you. Did you intend to start franchising when you started JunkStart? Like, was it always going to be a franchise brand?
100% from the very beginning. I was like, I'm going to invest capital to build like a world-class franchise brand. I thought it would be like the Me Too route, platform, all this great stuff. Like, obviously, as life hits you in the face, you're like, that's stupid. But it allowed me it took capital from like some of our exits and like from the very beginning, like to make investments that I think would obviously most people, if you're just running like a San Antonio brand, wouldn't make. So I'm not like a junk guy that's trying to scale. Like I'm an entrepreneur that like try to figure out the right product market fit that like I'm out like
you talk more like a software guy, I'll tell you that.
I love business. Like I really, really like it. And I love venture and I love tech and I love the marginal cost of scaling and I like, which is similar to franchisors, right? That's why I like it. But I also like just boots in the ground, like junk removal, like day in the life. Like that's why I started it. I didn't buy the brand. Like I freaking started it from scratch. Some of these other folks that are smarter than me just like acquire the franchise rights. And so like, I wish I did that. Probably it'd be easier. I don't wish I did it, but like I never would have understood like
grass is always greener.
Yeah. I never would have understood like, how to pivot and the product market fit. And we wouldn't be where we are now if I just like took a random brand and tried to scale it without ever running it.
Yeah. And what's the unlock for you guys? What do you think it's going to take to get you to 100 units?
Yeah, no, I think right now we've got this differentiated, like patent pending protected IP, right? We've got really great margins. We've got a huge commercial focus. Like we're a real property service brand, not just home service. And like we've got a wonderful world-class like support team with decades of franchisor and franchisee experience. We've got a focused and crazy founder. Like we're not interested in like selling out in 3 years to private equity. I've already done exits.
Did you just call yourself a focused and crazy founder?
Yeah, like focused brand, crazy founder, I guess. And then it's like we're just going to go compete against all these like legacy incumbents that I wouldn't want to be them. Like, not that we're going to be great. And I, have the humility to say, we're nothing perfect at all yet.
But I would guess you're going to try more things faster than they will, which is the
Yeah,
exciting
that's
part
it.
that unlocks a win, right?
I like the term creative destruction, right? Like we're here to drive creative destruction, right? Like the economic principles.
Somebody has to spur the market.
Yeah, and like we're just looking for about 120 franchise owners that'll consolidate over time, like down from there. Like we want fewer, larger owners, like well capitalized. The only way you really lose if you run out of money in this business. Like it's going to take money and
business,
scale.
really.
Yeah, it's going to take money and scale to get to the top of the hill, and we're looking for the hill takers in every market to be number one and invest ahead of the curve on scaling and capacity with trucks and marketing and your commercial sales team. But like you could build a really cool, durable enterprise value business, like an actual asset. I think it's a wonderful time to do it. And I couldn't be more excited about us compared to these Me Too brands. I think we've got something super special.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm going to steal hill takers as a term. I like that a lot. And I think maybe wrapping with that, Daniel, I think this has been a really interesting episode. I really appreciate you diving into the tactical nature of the pivot, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs have to do it. A lot of them are scared and never do it, and then they lose their business because of it. So it's really fascinating diving deep with this. Thank you for taking the time this morning, diving in there with us.
All right. Thanks, Paul. You're the best.
Absolutely. And I always I love to give you a minute or two at the end. Sell your thing. Where can people learn more about you? Where can they learn more about the brand? Where can they become your next franchisee?
Yeah, perfect. Easiest thing is JunkStartFranchising.com. You can follow me on X. I've got a small but loyal following base, right? Spreading the good news. Just Daniel McCarty there. And we're really looking for, it's not for everyone, right? Like our marketing pitch is the Shackleton letter. It's like, warning, it's going to be cold, miserable, dark. It's going to freaking suck. Like we'll probably all die, but there'll be honor and recognition in case of success. I'm going, I find it compelling. I've got all my money tied up to it and we're going. If you'd like to join, come on. And that's not, I'm not here to be a charlatan and tell you how wonderful semi-absentee business ownership is. And it's dude, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hopefully one of the harder things you ever do, right? Because everything worthwhile is hard to do.
Hard and profitable.
Yeah, it's type 2 fun, right? You're going to look back and be like, this was awesome. But it's going to suck in the moment. And we're not trying to get around that. But if you're one of the 120 people, the hill takers that want to join, reach out, find me or JunkStart and we'd love to talk.
I love it. Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time this morning. I do appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody else, thank you for listening to another episode of Behind the Franchise. And we look forward to having you on the next one.